Hey folks, how's it going? This is Seth Williams and Ajay Sharma. You're listening to the REtipster Podcast. This is episode 217. Show notes for today can be found at retipster.com/217. And today we are talking with Anshul Sharma. So Anshul is the founder of Gold Soil Realty Investments, and he's a guy I've been hearing about more and more over the past year or so as someone who is killing it in the land business, doing big things with a big team. And he started this thing the same way most of us do, all by himself back in 2018 without a ton of money. And he didn't just make it work since then. He's turned it into kind of an empire. So we're going to talk about Anshul's story, how this business started, how it evolved, what it looks like today, and it's going to be awesome. So Anshul, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you, sir. Great intro.
Let's just start this from the very beginning. Tell us about your business. Like, what kind of land investing do you do? What kind of stuff do you specialize in? Help us understand how your company works.
I have done a little bit of pretty much everything except those desert square properties kind of stuff. I've never touched those, never seen those. I don't know how they look like even on the Google map. I have done quite a bit of infill lots. I think I was very comfortable starting my business with infill lots because I started as wholesaling. Slowly transitioned to 5-10 acres, and now we kind of looking at 200, 300, 400 acres, whatever we can put our hands on. That's pretty much we're living through a whole era of subdivides. 100, 200, 300 got even more fancy, so that's where our focus is. We have almost moved away from infill lots. I almost don't do it unless my team really pushes me and punches me in the face saying, look at this is $50,000 deals, but okay, whatever, we'll do it. Otherwise, that's not the focus anymore.
So subdivides, like buying larger tracts of land. Are you doing like major subdivides, like platted subdivisions, or like?
Yeah. So just to kind of step back on the subdivides, it's not more so about subdivide. It's just bigger acreages. So we have bigger spreads. Even if I'm not subdividing, I would like to go for 100K, 50K kind of profit. Infill lots come with its own set of due diligence that we never enjoyed. Hey, I don't want to know how many easements running under this property, how much like setbacks. I just don't enjoy that stuff. So that's why we kind of kept infill lots outside, and we started bringing more recreational unrestricted properties because setbacks and all that kind of stuff is not so much important when you're buying those properties. I mean, it is, but not so much as with infill lots. So the due diligence part is a little bit lighter, in my opinion, when it comes to unrestricted properties.
So like, what would be considered like the minimum acreage that you go after?
5 acres or more.
Maybe we should turn the clock back a little bit. If I understand right, so you started this in 2018, right? So the land investing world was a little bit different back then. What were you doing back then? Like, were you working a job, or like, how did you discover the land business? What made you decide that this was something worth trying?
Yeah, it was a job, man. It was $170,000, good paying job outside of my MBA degree. So it wasn't bad. Life was good. I had a Camry, brand new Camry. I bought it for $38,000. I used to rock in Austin. Life was good. Everything was fine. But, well, I had the itch. I knew that job wasn't for me. And that was also the year that I migrated to United States. So a lot of things were happening. And, if you are migrating to this country, you can't just do whatever you want to do. You have to be with an employer, whatever. So I took a job. And, it was a nice job, as I said. But then I was looking for stuff that I can get myself out of the job. And then I kind of ran into some of these things. I did not start here. I started with Rich Dad Poor Dad, spent a ton of money with those guys. I actually become a professional options trader. I used to do options. And so I did that for about a year and a half. Quickly come to realize that I need money in stock market to make any kind of serious money, and say, hey, you know what? Let me go find some money first. And in that pursuit of let me go find some money first, I got into real estate because I found wholesaling. And I was like, man, this doesn't take that kind of money, and I can do $10,000. And the plan was to take all that money and bring it back into the stock market to again start my options trading game, which I still like. But that's how I kind of ended up. It was one of the Facebook advertisements on the right. You can make money without any money. I'm like, that's me. It's created for me. This is for me. So I was like, okay, sign up. And that's how we kind of got into land.
So when did you migrate to the US?
2011.
And that was because you were getting an MBA at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Penn State, so got my MBA, did my 2-year thing. I came down to Texas in 2012, got a flavor of what Texas is. and then came back down for my full time. And ever since, I've been a Texan guy.
You're from India originally, correct?
Exactly.
Is India different from the US at all? Or is it basically the same country?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. Not a tad bit. Not a tad bit. Hey, you know what? There are quite a few similarities. Okay, good people. We like democracy. We like to and have a freedom of speech in mind. So that's what I enjoy about India and the United States. Other than that, we have differences. Culture is different. People are different. The way approach money is different. We live on credit cards here. If you ask my father to open a credit card, he's like, ain't gonna happen, not in this life. He still have this bundle of notes that sticks somewhere in a pocket that you can't see. It goes like inside somewhere that you have to stick that money in, and all he can spend the cash he has on his hand. That's it. Once you run out of cash, you're done. So yeah, it's a different place, different food, different people. But yeah, it's good.
As a Native American, I always hear stuff about how America is the land of opportunity and all this stuff. And to me, it just seems like, okay, that's the standard. That's normal. That's just what I grew up with. You seem like a really smart guy. If you were to be dropped off with only the clothes on your back in India tomorrow or in the US tomorrow, same situation, could you find opportunity and make a life for yourself in either place? Or would it be easier in the US or easier in India? Or how do you think it would compare just in terms of the opportunity in both places?
The way we have opportunities in the US, we don't have anywhere else in the world. Period. End of the story. This is an entrepreneurial nation. We have so much here. I mean, if you ever to make a fortune, the odds of making a fortune is highest in the US than any other country. Like the way we promote entrepreneurship, the way we have funds and resources, you can go into a freaking library. It's free. You've got computer, you've got internet, and you can build an app for free. All you have to do is show up every day, any library. I don't care which city you are in the United States. You have a library, you have an internet, and you have a computer. Okay. You can walk in and you have books right behind you, which tells you about programming. You can open that book and start coding stuff. Okay. And you can build a multi-million dollar, billion-dollar empire. I mean, WhatsApp got sold for $14 billion at the time. It's a freaking app. That's all it is, right? And so my point is the resources that we have here, and sometimes I see people not taking advantage of it. That kind of hurts me because I have seen people not having internet, not having computer, and they want something as basic as that. If you can sit in an AC that is working and you have a computer and we have book and we have internet, and that's how every big company is built in the United States. Instagram, Facebook, you name it. It's not made out of like oil fields. It's made on an app. Somebody thought about it, sat on it, and built it, and now they're multi-billion and billionaires. So that's the opportunity that's found in this country that you will not find outside of the US. Now, I'm not saying that there are countries that not have libraries and all that kind of stuff. 20 years back, that wasn't the case. Internet was a novelty, okay? You cannot just find internet in every house and every place, right? Now it's like, okay, everybody has an internet. So there's great things about this country that doesn't exist anywhere else. The opportunity, the people wanting to share knowledge, want to grow each other, it's different. At least that's what I've found. So if you want to throw me anywhere, just throw me back here in Texas. I'll be good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually saw a YouTube video a while back about a millionaire guy who did this year-long experiment where he voluntarily became homeless and he had a camera crew following him around and he had to figure it out. Like, can he get a job? Can he work his way out of that? I think he did, but like he found it was like way harder than he thought it was. Like when you've got literally nothing, you go try to get a job and you don't have like a driver's license, like you don't have clean clothes, like you're not presentable, like it's
Sure.
really hard. So
It is. And I mean, yeah, of course, it should be hard.
going back to your land business, tell me about the first year. Like, what kind of deals were you doing? Like, you didn't do Desert Squares, but just tell me what that first year looked like. How much money did you have to work with? How did you make it work?
My first deal, I made $47,000. That was my first deal. I double closed that thing. I never went back. Things were different back in the days. People used to sign contracts. Contract used to sign, come back into your little PO box and stuff like that. I think those days are kind of behind us. We still get signed contract from people who doesn't have an email address or whatever. But I just double closed that thing. I called the seller, negotiated the contract. That was my first negotiation, and then found a buyer. She called me, and it was a double close. I don't know what I was doing. Just kind of put the contract together, close the deal. Yeah, and from there, it's just like, hey, you know what? if I can do 47 on my first deal, I think I'll be good. And I just kind of took it from there. And now we just do wholesaling and double closing. I mean, it kind of becomes the DNA of the company.
Did you do double closing because you didn't have the money to take it down, or because you just didn't want to risk putting any money into it? Or that's a fairly complex thing for the first deal ever for most people to do. I'm just curious what made you go that direction.
Yeah, you want to hear more about it? It was a Friday, 9:30. I have this buyer call me, and she's like, "Hey, if you can figure out a tile company, I have plenty of them. I can recommend." I'm like, "Man, no, lady, I don't want your tile company. I want mine, but I want to double close this thing." I called 14 tile companies in Austin that day. Everybody hung up on me because one, they thought like, hey, this is a some kind of scam guy with my whole accent, and he's trying to do something. He's trying to close two transactions. He said he has no money. I don't understand, Susan, how we can do that. Hey, Ing. And so so anyways, there was one lady at 3:30 in the evening or afternoon say, look, son, I know what you're trying to do. It's called pass through. Okay. It's called pass through. Oh, that's how you tell. That's the lingo. Pass through. I want to pass through this transaction. See, I didn't know that. I was trying to explain the escrow officer that hey, I got a contract and I'm trying to get another contract and I had no money. Can you close this for me? And 14 of them, ping, ping, ping. And then the lady helped me say, it's a pass through. I said, oh. And then she said, you have two contracts. I said, I have two contracts. Send them over to me. And within 10 minutes, she said, okay, I can do this. I'm opening escrow right now. In 1 week, we were done. And there was a lot of schooling in one day regarding real estate, double close, everything, what to say, what not to say, a lot of balancing. I missed all my corporate meetings that day. My manager called me. So fast forward, I say, if I can do one, I can do 100. And I literally took that formula, and that's what we do in that, in our business. So we double close sale for the most part.
I want to highlight just two things coming out of that story because I've had the pleasure of knowing Anshul for a little bit over 2 years now. And it's been really fun as I've gotten to know him, learn from him, talk to him over the years, seen him at events. I think so many people look at him today the same way you would look at, and I'm going to compare you, this might be a funny comparison, but they might look at LeBron James today, right? And say, man, this guy's crushing it. He's been successful for years. I'll never be able to get there. Now, LeBron's a little bit different because unlike any of us, except for maybe Seth, he's over 6 feet tall, he's athletic, whatever, right? But my point here being, it's really easy to look at the end product of Anshul today. Super successful guy, managing huge teams, knows management, knows sales, knows leadership. But if we listen to the story that you just shared with us, two huge lessons coming out of that. Number one, you said, yeah, first deal, I had no clue what I was doing. Right. And I think that's how so many of us feel when we're trying to get our first couple of deals. But that's such a beautiful thing to actually not know what you're doing. And the most important thing there that I want to encourage everybody in is just take the next step. Right. And that's what you did, which is lesson number two, where you were like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, but I got a contract here. I got a contract here. They got margin. So what am I going to do with those contracts? I'm going to ask as many people as I can, how do I do this? And he called 14 title companies before he got what he needed and got it done. But there's lessons there, right? You don't need to know what you're doing. Just take the next step and keep going. How many phone calls you had to make that day? And you felt like an idiot every time, I'm sure, right? You're like, am I doing something wrong? Like, what's going on? So I didn't want to move past that part of the story without highlighting that stuff.
I was literally sweating that day. I spent my entire day in one room because all I was doing is calling and I was sweating.
Even with the AC.
Exactly, in an AC. And I knew if that lady took everything over from me, it will be her tile company. Pretty quickly, he'll find out my contract and my $47,000 will be in ashes. It's gone. So I got to do something about this thing. So anyways, yeah, I'm glad that God put me into that situation and able to build me the business I have today.
That is really interesting. 14. That's a lot of
I
title
mean, I
companies
didn't
to
know what I
call.
was doing. I call Independence Title. I call all branches of Independence Title until they know that it's the same guy calling like 3 different escrow officer in the same thing. I did everything, man. I mean, and somebody told, yeah, we can do pass through, but then they say to wire the money. I was like, okay, that's not exactly what I want. So I kept moving until I found that lady that said no money needed. I just need 2 contracts and I'll take care. I closed about 50, 70 deals with her until she was an escrow officer in the tile company because every time she knew what I'm trying to do, and all I have to do is send 2 contracts and you were good.
It makes me wonder, like, what does it take for you to quit? Like, at what point do you say, okay, I've gotten to the bottom of this. It can't be done. I'm finished. Because like I would probably get there after like maybe the seventh or eighth call. Like that's a lot of people to hang up on you or say no before you're like, okay, whatever. I must be doing something wrong. I give up. But like 14, that's almost a little nuts. Like, how do you keep going or what makes you keep going until you get to the bottom of it?
I mean, it was 47,000. I've never seen 47,000 in my account ever. And I'm like, if I get 47,000 wired on a day, I don't even know what to do with that kind of money. I mean, I used to get $10,000 per month from my job, but I've never seen 47,000 in like 3 weeks. That was a different story at that point.
So if that one lady hadn't been there to help you through it, do you think you would have given up after that one or after like the 18th call or the 23rd call? Like when
I
would you
don't know.
stop?
I don't know, man. It didn't happen, so I can predict what I would have done. But I mean, I still remember it was a Friday and 3:30, and she said, "I'm about to leave office. If you can send something in the next 5 minutes, so I can let you know. Otherwise, this will wait for Monday." I was like, "Nope, it is happening right now." And so that was it. And then I called my buyer, and she said, "Okay, very good. I'm glad that you find a title company, Anshul." And boom, she sent the contract. And after that, she just took care of everything for me.
That's great.
Yeah. So am I correct in understanding that most of your business is double closings or assignments even today,
Yes, even today.
even with these larger properties that you might be subdividing or something like that?
We have double close subdivides. We have subdivided a property 4 ways and 5 ways, and we had just double close everything at the same time. It doesn't work perfect every time, but I think we have learned the nuances that it takes in double close. So if it's going south, we know ahead of time this is not going to work out. So we have to figure different things out and all that kind of stuff. And even if it's like, hey, it's a double close and we got to make it work, we just tell the buyer, hey, it's a double close. Just keep patience. I haven't bought the property yet. I'm going to flip it over to you. So you still want to have it? I mean, we have the confidence not to say that. Back in the day when I started, I couldn't have said that to that lady. Hey, you still want to have it? Just keep patience, right? Because I didn't know the game. Today I do. So I can tell my buyers what's going on and they still stick with us and we kind of close the deal.
Does that like limit you in any way? The fact that you're trying to fit everything into this double close assignment scenario? Or are there certain situations where like you just have to take title to it? You're like, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, we do now. Now we got cash. So we do 5%, 10%. We do take title on and just move on. But my thing is, if you can double close, you should not buy the property anyways.
Meaning like if you can't find a buyer that quickly, you shouldn't be buying it.
I mean, 90 days is not quick. I mean, you got contract for 90 days. If you can find a buyer 90 days, you should not be the buyer anyways.
Mhm.
There is no point that you want to buy the property regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like 90 days, come on now. I mean, 90 days, it's not a property right next to, we are not setting the novelty property. These are regular properties, 10 acres, 20 acres outside city or inside city. If I'm not able to find a buyer in 90 days, I'm very careful if I want to buy it. Right? So there's no point really that we are buying these properties unless maybe subdivide or it's a great property. I don't even want to wait for 90 days. It came in for 50,000. I can sell it for 200,000. We got 50,000 laying around. We just wire in, get done and that kind of stuff.
Are all your properties in Texas? Or like what states or markets are you working in?
60% Texas and 10% Carolinas, not 20% Carolinas, and then everything else, Georgia, California. It just kind of random after that.
Ajay, I'm curious, what's a typical days on the market for your properties before you sell them?
Oh man. I wish I could tell you it was 90 days. I feel like I'm about to get roasted here. I would say right now we're probably closer to like 4.5 months, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
I think I will say so. It was really fun. I had Anshul at the summit this past year and he was on our dispositions panel. And I think, it's something, Anshul, you don't necessarily advocate for, but I feel like every time I talk to you, I like have to raise the bar on our dispo. And it's like, man, we got to get better somehow. Right. And so better marketing lists, working on our scripts, follow up more aggressive, getting more people on the dirt, boosting Facebook ads, and all that stuff's helped. But most significant thing that we've done to start moving some properties is just dropping prices, which isn't my favorite lever to pull because that's our margin. But with double closes especially, it's like, you've got to be okay dropping it to basically almost zero and then maybe doing a reoffer or whatever it is you need to do. But I think the biggest thing I've learned from Anshul too is like exactly what you said here. Whereas, man, if I can't find a buyer in 90 days, something's probably wrong with it, or maybe we were wrong on the price, right? And so that's exactly where my brain goes is, okay, well, if we're not getting any bites in 30, 40, 50 days, we're either way too high or something's wrong with the dirt and we just don't know what it is.
Correct. 100%.
It's interesting because I was thinking kind of a similar thing to you, Ajay, is like 90 days. I mean, it happens, but like to say that it's a bad deal if it's not 90 days, like, wow, I've done a lot of bad deals because a lot of them have not sold that quick. But it makes me wonder, Anshul, what are you doing to sell these things so fast? Like maybe that's where the secret is. Or maybe it's because you're buying them super cheap. I don't know. Like, how is it that you're consistently able to move them that quickly?
I mean, that's the hard deadline. I mean, everybody knows we don't have money in the company. So either we sell it or we lose it.
So like, are you listing it with a realtor? Are you listing it on like 50 different places online? Like, are you making phone calls nonstop until you sell it? Like, what is the secret to really make these things move fast?
It's a combination of a couple of things. One, the pricing has to be right. And I'm not a huge fan, as Ajay said, of like, just keep discounting and somebody will bite on it. I mean, that's one way to do it. But once you do know that you are in the right price zone, views start catching up, saves start catching up, inquiries start coming in. At that time, what do? How do you close the deal? And I think a lot of people focus on the first half, which is marketing, which is truly important. They don't enough tap into the sales side of the business. When you do get the lead, how do you take the lead to the finish line? Closing in business is one of the key skills that will keep your business healthy and going for a very long time. So when you do get a lead, how do you nurture the lead? How do you move forward in the cycles of buying the property? Have they seen the property? They've seen the property, why they're not buying? If you're not worried that somebody went to see the property, they're not buying from you, then you already lost the lead. So it's a very clear thing like, hey, if they have gone seen the property, you should know why they're not buying it. Because that guy saw your post online, they called you, they took the time to go see the property and they're not buying. There's a problem. Either pricing is a problem, the property is a problem, we are a problem, or they don't like us. You got to figure that out. Because if you're not trying to figure that out, then you will be losing on so many sales. So it's a combination of three things: pricing, marketing, and then sales. And you have to get all three of them aligned all the time in order to consistently move inventory. At the end of the day, you are a product company when it comes on the dispo side. You gotta move the product, okay? And, imagine Walmart. Walmart just, if your product is not moving, your product is gone off the shelf. Somebody else comes and sit on it because Walmart gotta make money, okay? They cannot have products not selling and still sitting on the shelves. So that's who we are. And we have 90 days contract. So it's the DNA of the company, I guess, at this point in time. Anything comes in, it goes through a conveyor belt and it's moving. It's moving. Hit 90 days, we got to close that thing.
Do you think any part of this is a function of the fact that you're working in markets that have pretty high demand, pretty high sell-through rate, where stuff just naturally sells pretty fast? So it's a downhill battle to get property sold? Or is it something special you're doing? Just you're working so hard at it?
I mean, if you're in a better market, stuff sells faster. I mean, there's nothing, if you're working great market in Texas, it takes 30 days to find a buyer, maybe 45.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in Soar County, it might take up to 90 days. So there's variation there and there is external factors. But what I'm trying to say is like, you should have your marketing, pricing, and sales all dialed in to make sure that you can move inventory at a good pace, at a good time. I don't have any other marketing channels that, like every other land investor uses. I mean, land.com, Facebook Marketplace, MLS, I don't even have better pictures. I don't think we do a great job at pictures either. It's just kind of a very conscious effort to that, hey, we got to move this thing in 90 days. When you make it a point that you have to move it and you have no other option, guess what? You will move the inventory. That's how it works.
What does a typical offer look like for, I don't know, say if you get a property that's $300,000, like that's the market value. Like what percentage of market value are you offering? And then when you're listing it for sale, what are you listing it for?
I mean, we started the market value and kind of dropped the price from there. So if it's $300,000 true market value, well, market value is all made up, but let's just say it's $300,000. You perceive it to be $300,000. So that's where we start. We're not putting our properties on discounted prices.
So you're offering $300,000?
Yeah, I mean, when it goes on the market, it goes for $300,000. And we just wait for 15 days and see what views and saves and what kind of inquiries coming in and just adjust the price accordingly. Let's say the market value of the property is $300,000. It really depends what market we are in. We can go up to $230,000. 240,000, flip that thing for 50,000 and just move on. Really depends on the market. Their market in Texas that move super fast, 15 days, you get a buyer. That
Mhm.
market will take 60 days. So it really depends on what market you are in and how far you're willing to go compared to the market value.
So it sounds like the whole model is because you know your objective is to double close or sign the thing, you're offering fairly high percentage with the understanding that we're in a market that's going to move stuff pretty fast and we can put it on the market and it will sell pretty quick, even at full market value.
Correct. Yeah, we have something called LDS score, land desirability score, that we created inside the company. Every property gets a score. So if it's sitting high on land desirability score, that means the likelihood of that property to move when it comes on the market is relatively faster than something that has a low LDS score. So that way it helps my sales team to understand, okay, what kind of market, how quickly they can move this stuff.
What goes into that score? Like, how do you formulate that?
It goes like what county we are in, what population, growth rate, or what is the nearest city, and what kind of property. It's an infill lot, it's an unrestricted property, it's a 10 acre. 10 acre in Texas, which is also allows hunting, recreational, sells way faster than 5 acres because 5 acres, again, so it really depends what kind of property, how far it is from a major city, what's the county's population growth rate, and a couple other factors. So they are all weighted to give a number. You can tell I'm coming from an engineering background right now. And it gives a weight, and then we just take that thing, and it's kind of a common way of like lingo inside the company. Hey, 7, good. 9, and that thing should get under contract in 15 days.
So when you're selling this stuff, are you hiring or are you enlisting the help of licensed agents, or are you just listing it all yourself? Your company's handling all that?
Yeah, we do flat fee listing. We're not hiring agents. Agents can come and we close with agents, but everything is going on a flat fee. And then every other like marketplace, land.com. And then we have 3-4 salespeople right now who just push this inventory. Then that's their only job. Just push it.
What would you say is the number one, like of all the places it's listed for sale, like which one or two are most responsible for most of the sales? Like, is it the MLS? Is that where most of them come from? Or
Actually, Facebook Marketplace, depending on the pricing, anything less than 100K, great response from Facebook Marketplace. Anything more than that, 500,000, wherever, MLS. Land.com lately has given some great responses. We have never done those big 200, 300 kind of acreages or half, but now we are into that business. So land.com is working really well.
Mhm.
And then neighbor ledger, some cold calling. We cold call a lot of realtors, give them pocket listings. So that helps.
So when you're subdividing stuff, did I hear you right? So you don't take title to it? You somehow do the subdivide and then you double close it? Or how does that work?
If it's a smaller property, let's say it's 50 acres, right? If I were to subdivide like 10 pieces, probably not going to take title. If I know the market, I can double close everything. I just probably double close everything. Or maybe get to the break-even point where I sell 2 of these and I get all my money back so I can pay to my seller. And then I have 3 or 2 lots and I can sell them whenever I want because it's all paid off.
Do you have to put it under contract for a longer period of time for subdivides, or can you get through it pretty quick?
In 90 days. One I've never really talked to. So it's actually after the fact they say, oh, it's a great property, but we only have 90 days. All right, let's get to work.
Mhm.
We want to subdivide it and double close it. Matter of fact, we are doing in right outside of Giddings, Texas. It's a 132 acre parcel, something like that. It's $1 million purchase. So the whole strategy is to double close that thing. We're just gearing up for it. And our whole theory is if we can sell 2 out of 4 parcels, because we want to chop it down into like 4 parcel tops, a 25, 30 acre parcel. If we can sell 2, we'll be break even in the project. And my team thinks they can find 2 buyers who will be willing to buy 2 of these within 90 days. So let's go.
How much EMD did you have to put up for that? Are you putting up hard escrow money, earnest money for that?
Yeah, for that one, I think we added 1% of the purchase price.
Okay, so about 10 grand.
Yeah, 10 grand.
Okay. I mean, that's worth the gamble, right? 10 grand to make $500,000. I'll take that bet.
Man, if it comes to we have to buy, we're going to buy. But the whole idea is to double close that thing, or at least get to the point we are not spending $1 million to buy the property, right? If I can reduce my cost basis down to maybe $200,000, $300,000 and carry the asset forward, I'll do it.
We actually just did the same thing on a project in Oklahoma, which people told us we couldn't double close there, but I'm sure you're well aware there's always a way, right? And we found an on market deal actually that we subdivided and double closed on We had everything under contract when we got to the closing table, sold 6 out of 12 child parcels the day of closing. We had to bring 100 grand to the closing table, but we had 300K more in sales lined up. So we'll end up netting about 180 on the deal. We have 2 parcels left that are supposed to sell in the next 2 weeks. But to your point, the cool thing about that is your cost basis is reduced and you've got the most active comps in the whole county. I'm like, man, the neighboring, tract sold for this. I'm confident I can find a buyer around this.
Yep, that's excellent. Yeah, you just make your own market at that point. So
When you're double closing on a property that you're subdividing, you don't need the property owner or the seller to do anything, right? Because you're doing an exempt subdivision where you don't need anybody's permission. You just work with a surveyor, you get the new legal descriptions, and then when that's worked out, I guess that's when the title company will have the original seller sign those updated deeds to the end buyers. Am I saying that all right?
yeah, I think in double closing, you gotta pay the seller all at once, unless you have a partial release signed by the seller saying, "Hey, I'm okay to get paid as you sell these parcels." But that's not what my seller knows or understands. So that's why it's so important to line a couple of buyers up in order to make sure that you satisfy escrow one with your seller, or you have to bring money out of pocket in order to kind of let your seller get paid. And that's how. We have done a couple of these. Fortunate enough, we were able to line all buyers up, so we don't have to come out of pocket. And these were not big deals. Just to be honest with you, okay, I'm not double closed $1 million deal. Okay, I've closed up to 200, 300K, 400K. They were smaller parcel. They were at a great market, so it wasn't hard to line up those buyers. But for $1 million, I wouldn't recommend anybody. It's like just playing with fire at that point, right? Unless you have done it so many times that you know what you're doing and you know your other exit strategies, just in case that double close didn't work out.
It kind of sounds like your superpower is your ability to get all these buyers lined up pretty quickly, whether that's a function of how good you and your team are or a function of the markets you're in. But like, if you couldn't do that, it sounds like this would be kind of hard to do. You'd be getting a lot of these things under contract and they would just sit there until they expire and you'd be wasting your time. So if part of this is attributable to the market, you're just working in markets where stuff sells pretty quick. That makes me wonder, like, is it hard to get deals under contract in the first place? Like, how much mail do you have to send out, or what are you doing to find deals? Like, what is your marketing channel? And
man, it's been 4 years. I have not sent a single piece of mail. Nobody. I kind of hopped onto texting until that didn't start work out. Then moved on to RVMs. Now we're doing cold calling.
Is cold calling like the only thing you do?
Yeah, that's the only thing we are doing right now.
Are you using an agency for that? Or do you have people in-house that are doing it?
We have people in-house. I have a team in Egypt who does cold calling.
How many people are on your team?
I think 44.
44. Wow, man.
Including me and my wife.
Well, tell me about that. Tell me about the journey of getting that many people. Like, it sounds like you've really got things figured out. If you've got that big of a team and everybody has their assigned place, like, what do you do in the company at this point, if anything?
Man, it's a whole different, could be a whole different podcast, quite honest with you, the journey to 44 people. But the way I'm kind of structured the company is, one, we are having a team for the future. It's hard to put a team together and then make them all work together. It comes with time. So it's not like, hey, if I can afford to hire 44 people and then I do hire them today, they all be productive or working at least cohesively to produce a result, right? It's a multi-month or year journey where we have got to the point that we have teams that they gel together, they work together, right? So I can step out of doing comms and calling sellers or buyers and stuff like that. I'm always overstaffed. I'm overstaffed by 10, 15 people right now. Okay. And the reason for that is because we want to go somewhere. I have a certain revenue targets that I want to hit. And if I want to hit those revenue targets, I'm not going to hire those people like today. I got to hire those people 3 months back. They understand my system. They understand they're productive. So when the right time comes, we have all guns blazing, right? And that target keeps moving up. So we keep hiring. So we are always overstaffed. One, we are hiring pretty raw talent. Some of the talent is not to be found in the industry. If you ask me, hey, can you get me 3 comms guys? There's nothing like that exists in this industry. There is no 3 comms guys that you can hire, snap a finger, even if you have money. There are no salespeople that can help you sell your property. I mean, if you have enough experience with realtors, you know what I'm talking about. So the talent that we have, it takes time to bring them in, coach them, get to the point that they're really working towards one goal. And so that's why I have 44 people, whatever we have is like some of them were hired ahead of time. And now they're at a point that they can help us meet the revenue that we want to have this year. Somebody asked me this question last year, man, 44, what these 44 people? Man, half of the company is under training right now. What to tell you? I'm paying for the payroll for about 6 months before they really come in and they're like, can be on their own doing comps. You don't want a guy, untrained guy doing your comps because that will cost you more money than sales, correct? But then what you do, you cannot do all the comps yourself. So there's like, okay, I can do all these comps, man. If I want to build a $20 million company, like I can't imagine myself doing comp worth $20 million. It's not possible. You have it to give it to somebody. And if those people are not trained, you're going to end up losing business anyways, right? So long story short, good portion of the company is under training, or they just got trained to the point that they can become productive and that kind of stuff. And we hire very raw talent and we train them. And we train them on culture. We train them on our ways of doing things. Because guess what? We are a double close company. If they're coming from a place where it's okay to sell a property in 9 months, guess what? I'm going to work here. We are a 3-month company. We work quarter to quarter. So they need to have that mindset, that culture, everything in order to fit into our ecosystem. And that takes time. So that's why 44 people.
It makes me wonder, I guess, question for both of you guys. How big do you think a land flipping business can get? Like, what is the ceiling? Like, if somebody wanted to have a team of 500 people and just like dominate the whole country, where is the point at which it's like, oh, sorry, there's just not enough land out there where there's enough opportunity? Like, where do you want to take this, Anshul? Like, how big is big enough? At what point are you like, okay, we can stop growing?
Man, I mean, even if you wish that you want to stop growing, it's not possible, right?
I know.
And that doesn't exist. I wish I can stop growing, and that's going to happen, right? I'm getting more white hairs every day. Something is broken in my body. So that's not possible.
Yeah, I think in general, like any healthy business is going to grow. Like that's what a healthy business does. You're either growing or you're dying. So
Exactly. So if you know that a business has to grow, you better be a catalyst to that growth versus trying to stop it or trying to, whatever the right word is. So
yeah,
any business that's not growing, we're going to die anyways. So where we going to go, I don't know, but we got to have goals where we want to go the next year and next year and next year. If you still want to do it, if you don't want to do it, okay, so be it. You can go and do something else, right? So that's my question. Where we can go, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I wish I can take this company to $100 million in revenue. Okay, I write that in my goal diary every day. I want to take my company to $100 million. How do we get there? I have no freaking clue. I know how to get to a $25 million company now, but can that translate into a $100 million company? I have no clue. I've never done that before in my life. Just like the double closing that happened 7-8 years back. It hasn't happened, so we will figure it out as we go along the way. And maybe I don't have the energy or zeal to take it to 100 million at that point in time. This is a 40-year-old Anshul saying that I want to take it to 100 million. Maybe things change in my life and I say, hey, you know what? I'm done. I want to do something else. But I guess that would be my answer to the question.
a lot of these deals that you find, I know you said use cold calling. Do you ever just find deals that are just like on the market, like on the MLS? If you're making offers that are fairly high in terms of what most land flippers do.
No, man. The quick answer, short answer would be no. We have 35 subdivide opportunities coming into our pipe every week. We look at 100 and 130 properties that are potential subdivides in a month. There is no reason for me to go on another MLS when I have an MLS open in my own company at this point in time. These are qualified leads with road frontage, beautiful looking properties, certain sizes, and that kind of stuff. And, we have been kind of passing on those opportunities over the years. But this year we have put laser focus, and that's what we are looking into at this point in time. And that's what really getting me excited to do what I'm doing. So yeah.
So how many people are on your cold calling team? Like how many calls does it take to get that many opportunities coming into your pipeline every week?
10 people on the cold calling team. On an average, they qualify 3 leads to 5 leads a day. Yesterday, we qualified 75 leads.
The reason I was asking that is because in terms of growth and where this thing could go, I often wonder about this. I wonder what the opportunity would be like in other countries. Once you start paying a higher and higher percentage of that property's market value, it starts making it, I feel like, more and more feasible to do this elsewhere, possibly even on the MLS. I realize you got to learn a totally new system and all new laws and all this stuff. So maybe it's just more trouble than it's worth. But if you really wanted to grow this thing to 100 million, I mean, maybe there's ripe opportunity in Canada or something, or in India. I don't know.
I tried. Canada keeps their data system closed. So here's the thing. That's why this country is the biggest fan of opportunity, because the way we have set the ecosystem, it encourages people to go and do creative stuff.
Mhm.
You keep your system closed, there is no creativity, right? That's why it sets US so different from any other country. So you're not going to find this kind of ecosystem anywhere else, for good or for bad. And it's really up to you, what you can do about it. So I don't think it exists anywhere else, at least in my understanding. Man, yeah, we're living in a very unique world, place and time in our lives. And I don't think this would ever be replicated again, these kind of opportunities that's coming up, on our way. I mean, for opportunity to execute on, then I will have time to actually get down and get them done. I mean, that's the reality. I have like 5 ideas going on. I want 5 different companies. We're trying to do an AI company right now. We take so much data, so much volume. We can analyze every single call, and we're trying to put this AI system together. And so there's more opportunities out there than we can fathom and I can undertake. But I don't think this kind of ecosystem exists anywhere else. So at least knowledge as far as research.
When you started this business, how much cash did you have to work with? Like, did you start with no money or like, I don't know, $5,000 or?
About $3,000 something. I mean, I sent my first wheeler, that didn't work out. And I sent my second, that's where I got my first deal. And after that, I had money. So I never really have to think about, but I would say $2,000 to $3,000 back in the days. And then a $300 Pat Life subscription. So
I'm just wondering if somebody's listening to this today and they have no money or at least very little money, what do you think is the feasibility of them getting into the land business and getting anywhere? Like, what do you think is the minimum amount of cash people need these days, given that they could do this kind of double closing or assignment thing, potentially make a lot of money if they just make really good decisions on the front end?
entrepreneurship, I think, will always be the game of people who take action and hustlers. If you are only person who's got no money, I'm just gonna buy a list for $40 or whatever it takes and pick the phone, ready mode, and start full calling. If I were to do this all over again and I do not have anything, I'll take a $30 ready mode subscription. I'll steal the list from somewhere. There are enough gurus out there who say, hey, I'll give you 1,000 leads for free. That's where I'm gonna go. I gotta take that list, load that thing in ready mode, and start calling.
I totally believe it. I mean, it sounds like the fact that you're so hungry, and I guess if anybody out there is hungry enough, they can find a way to make it work, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got to have the hunger for sure. I mean, I don't know where hunger comes from, because that's the next thing. Why are you so hungry? And I have no clue about that. And I don't even know if I'm hungry. I just go do my thing, what excites me, and I just gotta keep doing it, because I've done anything. I mean, think about it. I mean, there's so many 5, 3, 6, 7, 10 million revenue businesses in the United States, like thousands of them.
I wonder if maybe it's because you have the perspective of living in 2 different countries and the difference in opportunity. And maybe just being aware of that is where some of the hunger comes from, just realizing the opportunity that's there.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely I have the perspective, right? I know where I'm coming from. And I also know that I'm in a very unique place, and this thing is non-replicable. For my US buddies over here in the land game, the spot you are in, it's a unique position. It exists nowhere else in the freaking world. I can guarantee you that. And if you know that you're in a very unique spot and you have that kind of opportunity, I think you should take full advantage, or whatever the right word is. We are like, sometimes we take things so for granted. And I have started doing that, because being in this country for 15 years, I kind of get complacent. But we are in a very unique spot, man. I don't know what else to say. It is a very unique situation, a very unique spot. I don't think it. Yeah. So I'm just thankful. I'm just grateful. And I just want to take full advantage of the opportunity, because I realize that I'm in a unique spot. What am I going to do about it?
Well, that was going to be one of my questions for you is, do you think you've not gotten complacent, but maybe like lost to the hunger, getting as far as you have, realizing it's like, okay, my hierarchy of needs, a lot of them are met. I'm not starving anymore. Like, I'm going to be fine. That happens to me all the time. Like, when I get comfortable enough for a long enough period of time, like that hunger kind of wanes. And I wish it didn't, but like, that's probably just human nature. Sounds like you've had a little bit of that, right? Or
my things were met when I was doing that $170,000 job, to be honest with you.
yeah.
We were going to good restaurants. As I said, I just bought a Camry, $38,000. That guy just literally ripped me off with that whole Camry thing, XLE, but that's okay. It was my first purchase.
You know how to negotiate a little bit better now than you did back then, right?
I know. That was my first car, so I just kind of fell in love with it. There was no negotiation there, Ajay. I just kind of it's like, hey, how much do you want? Just sign the contract, bro. I don't know, man. It's a very tricky question set. I don't know where the hunger comes from, what drives people. I have no understanding about that. I just want to challenge myself. I just want to live life every day. I mean, I'm not a guy who want to watch TV or sit on a couch. I don't like small talks. I'm just like, hey, I just want to do something exciting. I love to negotiate, just the way Ajay does on the phone with sellers. I love to negotiate. I like that hustle. I like that negotiation. I like to be on my toes. I like the adrenaline that it brings to think that I want to build $100 million company. So I don't know what the right answer is. I mean, if I just keep it where my company is, I will do very well in my life and will have everything. So
With your big team now, what is your role in your company at this point? Like, what exactly do you do?
there's a lot of things. When you have a bigger company, you got to make sure that your cash flow is going good, your strategy's in place. I mean, I run a payroll of $85,000 a month. You got to get used to that kind of payroll, running that payroll, including commissions and that kind of stuff. So you're thinking a little bit differently. And that's the fun of being entrepreneurship. When you grow, you have different problems that you don't know when you have a 5, 10 people company. You never realize that. I was talking with somebody yesterday and he said, man, why don't you take $1 million from the company and buy a storage? And I was like, dude, my biggest asset is my people right now, not that $1 million storage. These people will get me to a $25 million company. I have different assets to think about than trying to pull that $1 million and putting in a storage. Because I have spent so much time in building a company and culture, which is a unique product in itself. So I know. What was your question again? Did I digress?
No, it's okay. I do that all the time. I just wonder what your specific role is. It sounds like you're the CEO, really, at the top of the thing, just making sure everybody's on track. Or
I wish I can be the CEO every day. There are days when I am a COO, and there are days when I'm CEO. I'm trying to be more of a CEO than I am, and it's a work in progress. It's a transition right now.
well, I'm curious. You said you wanted to grow to, I think, 25 million in revenue or something like that. So why? Like, what's going to happen when you get there?
I think I just want to challenge myself as a leader. And I think as you grow the company, it has to bring a lot of leadership. You cannot grow the company just on a formula that you learn that double closing. When you grow the company, your human side comes out in a very different way that you wouldn't realize when you are at $1 million or $10 million in revenue. You are having people now. You should know, like, hey, how to work with people. Everybody have different priorities. What your priority is not other priorities of people in my organization. Right? So it brings a different side of leadership, and I enjoy that part. I like to be in the hot seat in my company because every time I come out and say, hey, guess what? We're going $25 million next year. And everybody like, you just said 10 million last year and now it's not even double. We're going to 25 million, right? And it also gives opportunities to people inside my organization to grow. Because if you're not growing and people are coming into your organization, they think that they will grow. And now you were like, no, man, we're not growing. We just, well, guess what? Those good players will leave you at some day. Because if you're not growing, that doesn't mean that people in the organization doesn't grow. So it's almost imperative for you to grow because the good players wants to grow. And if you want to retain good players in your company, you got to grow. Otherwise, they will find a different place where they see themselves growing. That's why I want to grow. I do not want to lose my guys who want to grow, right? And I cannot give them more opportunity if I just keep the company where it is right now. They want to grow it themselves.
So if you hit that $25 million goal, it sounds like what I'm hearing is it'll sort of make you level up as a leader. You'll kind of have to upsize your leadership ability and that kind of thing. But like, does that number mean something? Like, can you now do something as a result of having that? Or like, is the next number 50 million? Like what is the underlying why behind growing to that level?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I want to buy assets, right? I want to buy multifamily. I want to buy storage. I want to have passive income. All of that is so expensive. Last time I was looking at multifamily in Austin, that thing was like $8 million. Where going to get $8 million from, right? So I want to buy that thing. And if I want to, at least I should have $2 to $3 million cash laying around in order to go buy that multifamily. So I'm a big asset guy. I want to go buy big assets, but those are not cheap. And I'm not a syndicator. I don't want to raise money. I just want to buy the whole thing all by myself because it's generational wealth, right? So that's the other side of the thing. I want to buy assets, keep them, that kind of produces generational wealth. And said, I'm pretty much you're doing the same or on similar lines. But that's why I want to grow the company. I mean, I cannot think of buying those kind of things with a $5 million revenue company or $10 million. Those things are expensive.
Anshul, I feel like there's a subtopic here that I want to dive into just a little bit deeper as we're talking about the correlation between revenue and leadership. I've seen a lot of business owners come, go, they're on fire for a little bit, they cool off. And I've been spending more time in Scottsdale the past couple of months with people like Eric Klein, Andy Elliott, if you know any of those characters, and I've been in their offices and man, it's crazy. I mean, I'm in an office where a guy's taken 200 million in revenue and he's in the middle of his bullpen helping his guys close deals. He's on the phones himself, right? That's Andy Elliott. People have mixed opinions on him. I think the guy's a killer. The reason I'm bringing this up is because people hear, oh, you've got a team of 40 people. So many land investors come in, they hire 1 or 2 VAs and they're like, great, man, I'm scaled out of the business. Now, hopefully I take home $1 million this year. Man, can you just, Anshul, please, for everybody listening who maybe doesn't quite understand why they're trying to build a business, who they need to become as a leader to actually hit a true 7-figure revenue is a great metric, but like, how do we start bringing home hundreds of thousands, closer to $1 million? Who do you need to be at that level? Does my question make sense there?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be in a show business. And the problem with most of the investors or think they're business operators, they're in a tell business. Go do this, go do that, go do this, negotiate, calm, blah, 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 blah. They never take enough time to show people how to do it and how to do it in a right way, and then show up for them every single day. So when they fall, they're ready to pick them up, put it back on track and keep going. That takes a lot of time, tenacity, and leadership to do it. I've been doing this for 7 years with my team. Every single day, we have a 1-hour role play call. 8:30, everybody gotta be in that Zoom room and we role play. And there is nobody else role playing, man. I'm role playing for everybody. I'm the buyer. Shoot whatever you got. You got complaints, you got objections, shoot at me. I'm gonna respond to you. I wanna put myself in that position for if I ever get to imagine that somebody else can take my place. And the problem with many people is that they think that they can hire somebody to do their job. It was your freaking job in the first place to build that culture, and you failed at it. And now you want to put people on those seats when it was you supposed to be you at some point in time. Now, don't take me wrong. I have done comms. I don't do comms no more because I have taken time out, build the culture, build the skill set, build the people that they can do it for me. It's been a 2-year journey. I don't know how many people want to do that. Or maybe people want to do that. I have no idea, but that's what it takes. Now we have a culture. We have a comms academy inside. Like everybody know how to do comms. Doesn't matter. $10,000 property. All my 6, 7, 8 guys who know how to do comms can put a value for a subdivide. And it would be better than most of the investors know about subdivide.
That's great.
Right? How it happened? We have 2 workshops every week. We hop on a Zoom call for 90 minutes, twice a week, discussing comms. We get nerdy about comms. It's called Comms Workshop. It's on my calendar. Happens like clock. Whether I'm there or not there, my lead guy, comm guy, will show everybody what mistakes they did in the entire week. Where did they do great? Where did they not do great? Fix that thing. And it happens like a clock. That's what it takes to build a company. That's what it takes to build a company that you can think, I can step out and somebody else can take over. But that takes time and that takes a vision. You got to be very clear where you're going with this. Otherwise, you're not going to do it because you will be failing so many times. You will be like, you know what? It doesn't work. I don't want to do it. Those people don't show up. That's the reason I take a world tour last year. I was in Philippines twice, Egypt twice, ended up in India twice because as soon as my mom knows that I'm in Egypt, she's like, "To get your ass over here in 4 hours."
Gotta love moms.
And she's like, "Okay, you coming over in 4 hours?" I'm like, "Okay, understand. You give me some time, trying to wrap things up." Okay. Been to Nicaragua for 3 months. And the reason I was doing that because I was in the room whiteboarding every single comm that my team was really facing trouble. Now, are you ready to take that time out? I don't know. But maybe you are. If you truly want to build a company that works, not really without you, but in presence of you, but all by itself, right? I don't want to build a company where it works without me. I want to be always part of the company, but I want to build something that people knows and they can kind of take it forward from there. So, yeah. And then I see people like, man, I don't find comms guys. I'm like, hey, can you find a guy who knows English and knows maths and know how to get on Google Maps? Can you find a person? Yeah, I think those three skills can be found in one human being. I said, perfect. That's your comms guy. Hire that guy, spend 15 days, and you will see the results. But many people are just looking for the comms guy. And guess what? Those don't exist.
Any position in your company that was the hardest to fill? Or are they all fillable if you're just willing to put in the work to show people how to do it?
Well, mine position is the hardest to fill. But other than mine,
Why is that? Like, what is it you can do that nobody else can?
I mean,
Probably a lot, but I'm just curious what you're thinking.
yeah, I mean, when you're running the show, there's a lot of different skill set. There are high paid skill sets that are hard to find in one person, right? Now we're talking about strategy, pricing, leadership, culture, right? You cannot hire a person for culture. That's what CEOs do. They bring culture in the company. So anyway, that's why it's hard to kind of find that person, because there's different kind of components can kind of come in. But people, yeah, I mean, we do a lot of negotiations on the phone. It's hard to find, great people who can negotiate contracts for you on both sides. And so we took it in-house. We have a training team. We train people. Again, we bring raw talent, train them. So they start negotiating, all that kind of stuff said. Easy positions to fill, in my opinion, is to like somebody looking title for you, closing deals for you, meaning like HUD, escrows. Those deals are easily kind of found in the market as escrow officers, title company, all that kind of stuff. I think the hard part is like negotiation, sales, and that kind of stuff. That takes a little bit longer time. And comms.
It almost sounds like you run a little bit of an education company because you spend so much time educating your people how to do the job, right? I mean, you might not think of it that way, but that's kind of what's going on, is you're helping people learn how to do this kind of unique skill set, right?
That's where I spend a good portion of my week. We have 2 sessions of comms workshop, and then we have 1 session of subdivide workshop. So total, we are spending about 8 hours in a week, just like comms. And then we spend about 2 hours every day role playing or learning sales and all that kind of stuff. And I try to be in most of them. So yes, half of my life in my company is just training people and just kind of getting better at it. I know it's great, man. If you're trying to recall me everything that I do every day, then that's a lot of training. But yeah, I think that's what it is, I guess.
Well, Anshul, seriously appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening loved it. If somebody was just getting into the business today, would you have any words of wisdom for them? Anything they should know, or just from your years of experience, like what would you tell that crowd?
Man, I don't have any words of wisdom. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a guy who likes to just wake up every day and do my thing and just enjoy it and go to bed. Quite honest with you, that's how I define myself. But if you really want to do this, I mean, just be a practitioner yourself. Do not get carried away from what other people are saying, because other people have so many different opinions about land business, how they want to scale and everything. Just take things in your own hands. Whatever you're getting scared of, you're scared of talking to people, get on the phone, have that conversation. You're scared of doing comms, do more of it. Just be a practitioner yourself. You gotta be that person first before you can start outsourcing this stuff. Don't get too far ahead of yourself on day one. Just take things, and don't get like, if somebody's doing $1 million, you don't have to do $1 million on day one. It will not happen. Just give yourself some time. Just get started though.
Ajay, anything you want to wrap up with, or you good to go?
I think, Anshul, you have dropped tons of wisdom bombs. I think my favorite lesson, I've taken some notes even while we've been here. My favorite lesson in just talking to you is the work it actually takes to grow a real company. Again, I think so many people think they can hire 2 VAs and make $1 million, and some do, right? I'm not going to pretend that nobody does. Maybe luck plays a piece there, maybe it doesn't. But watching you, man, I don't think of you as lucky in the sense of like, oh yeah, Anshul got lucky. Like, this guy put in the work and continues to every day, and that'll always be your competitive advantage.
I don't get bothered working. It's a weird thing. And whoever wants to do this, if you're getting bothered showing up every day, you'd rather not do that thing. In my W-2, I was that guy at 170, right? And I didn't like doing it. So whatever I do, as much as I do, I enjoy doing it. So find something. It might not be land. And that's another thing. If you come into land and you don't like it, just go somewhere else. You're going to do something else. Don't get yourself hostage to a business that you're not liking no more. So yeah, just enjoy.
I love that story about you calling the 14 title companies. I think of like all the coolest things I've ever done in my life. And a lot of them come back to situations like that, where I just like didn't know when to quit. Totally different thing. Back when I used to be really into guitar, I would want to learn a song and I would just lock myself in my room and say, I am not leaving this room until I know this song. I don't care how many hours it takes me. I'm going to get there today. Just like that kind of mindset of like, no one's going to stop me. Like, I'm going to make this happen. And I think when you're hungry, it lends itself well to that because like, there's just no other way. You just have to get the job done. I love stories like that. So
Yeah, man. Hey, Seth, I want to say this though. Back in the days when I used to run into random videos, I did used to run into your videos. So I appreciate you. 7, 8, 9 years back, I have watched enough of your videos to appreciate that you have been a visionary back then and you are a visionary right now in the land space. It takes a lot to come out on the internet and present stuff in a way that you did. So I appreciate you. I have always looked forward to people just like yourself in the land business. I think I can never be there where you are. You are into your own stratosphere, which you have built for yourself. And I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm a business owner and I'm glad that people call me on these podcasts. That's the only way people probably know me. But the way you have presented yourself and put the content in a way, I mean, I think it's very fair to say that you set the standards when it comes to land business and how to put the content out there that is consumable by somebody like me who's starting the land journey on day one. So, man, I like huge accolades to you. It takes a lot to be that kind of visionary when people were just kind of getting started in the land game. Now everybody can do it. Hey, I can make 3 videos and I know there's so many people out there who are going to watch it. But 7 years back, 8 years back, I kind of come out with that content. So yeah, that was awesome, man. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you saying that. I'm glad I could have any part in helping you. Yeah, I think that's the only reason I've been able to do it this long is like, I kind of love it. It's just a ton of fun for me. You know, it's kind of like what you do with the land business. It's like, you got to love it or you're never going to survive.
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear that you are not doing this for nobody. You're just having fun doing it, the way you get out the content. So it was fun. I remember Agent Pro 24/7, something like
Yeah, those were the days way back then.
And I was so stupid at picking up filters and I was so tired. And I went to YouTube and I found a video from you. And that saved my hours and hours because that's my Achilles heel. I'm not good with data and finding filters, and you just solved my problem. And from that day, I got hooked. I like, this guy knows so much more that I really need at this time. And so it helped me a lot.
That's really cool to hear. Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah, man. Of course.
Well, Anshul, if people want to connect with you or reach out to you, you don't have to share anything, but if you want to, you're welcome to.
Do not hit me up if I can pick your brain. But yeah, you can hit me on Facebook or whatever. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm on Facebook, so you can message me and that kind of stuff. Instagram, The Land Dude. You can message me there.
Sounds good. Well, thanks again, Anshul. It's great to talk to you. Great to get to know you better. Hopefully we'll connect at some point in the next year or so. It'll be great to see you at one of these conferences out there.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to see you in person. Ajay.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, brother.
And if anybody wants to see the show notes again, REtipster.com/217. And we'll talk to you next time.